You on probation, right? You just approached me, threatening me. Your words was, we step on shit, okay? You didn't say I, you made it plural. You said we, so that's in cohorts. I mean a gang. You on probation. Then you had a fella with you that was possessing a gun. You are not supposed to be around with people that had guns. The federal authorities, because you made a threat while possessing a gun.
Hey, nigga told gun. Bitch ass nigga. Man, my whole ass nigga approached me now, okay?
The man who built his entire brand screaming snitch just became one. On camera. On Instagram Live. With zero shame. March 28th, 2026. Charleston White, the same man who spent 2 years calling Young Thug a rat, a fed, a coward, a loose lip, went on Instagram and announced he is contacting Young Thug's probation officer Monday morning. His exact words: "You going to jail." Read that back one more time. The man who made snitching his entire content strategy, his brand, his identity, his meal ticket. That man just filed a report on another man's freedom. Publicly, proudly, gleefully. And because of what happened at Drewski's party in Miami on Saturday night, Young Thug is now looking at 20 years behind bars. Not 5, not 10, 20. Because of a confrontation at a comedian's reunion event. 20 years. This is one of the most ironic, most twisted, most layered situations hip-hop has ever produced. And every single person needs to understand exactly how we got here. Let us get into all of it. Saturday night. March 28th, 2026. Miami, Florida. Drewski, the comedian, the content king, the man who turned Could Have Been Records into a genuine cultural empire, just wrapped season 2 of his hit show Could Have Been Love. He threw a reunion celebration. Forbes ranked him number 9 on their top creators list after he earned $14 million in 2025. His events pull everybody. A-listers, athletes, rappers, influencers. If you are somebody in hip-hop culture right now, you show up when Drewski calls. And on this night, in this room of all rooms, 2 people who had absolutely no business being within 100 miles of each other ended up face to face. Young Thug and Charleston White. And here is where it gets dangerous. According to what Charleston posted immediately after the event, Young Thug and his entourage allegedly threatened his life. Charleston claims Thug looked him in the eyes and said, "You are going to lose your life right here. You are going to lose your life right here." Those are not the words of a man who understands the legal situation he is in. Because here is what Charleston White understood immediately and what most people scrolling through the clips completely missed. This incident allegedly happened on Federal Aviation Administration property in Miami. FAA property. Federal ground. Not a nightclub parking lot. Not a private event space. Federal jurisdiction. And Charleston White, being Charleston White, identified exactly what that meant for a man on probation with 20 years sitting behind it. He posted the video. He posted a second video. He announced he was filing a restraining order. He said one of Thug's entourage had a weapon on them. And then he dropped the line that broke the internet. "I am contacting your probation officer. You going to jail." The man who spent years calling Young Thug a snitch just became the person filing the report. The background. What freedom actually looks like for Young Thug. Before this landing the way it is supposed to land, you need to understand exactly what Young Thug walked out of and exactly what is sitting over his head every single day he is free. October 31st, 2024. Halloween. Jeffrey Lamar Williams walked out of a Georgia jail after spending over 2.5 years locked up on the YSL case. Georgia's longest trial in state history. 28 people indicted. Gang allegations. Murder charges. Drug charges. Firearm charges. The whole machinery of the state of Georgia aimed at one man and his entire circle. He did not walk out clean. He took a plea deal. Sentenced to 40 years total. The first 5 commuted to time served. Then 15 years of probation. And here is the part that everybody needs to lock in right now, because this is the detail that makes Saturday night in Miami the most dangerous night of Young Thug's life since he got out. There is a backloaded 20-year prison sentence sitting right behind that probation like a loaded gun with the safety off. If he completes all 15 years of probation, that 20 years disappears. Gone. He walks free permanently. But if he violates, he goes back. And he serves every single one of those 20 years. That is the sword hanging over his head every single day he is free. And the conditions of his release were not light. He cannot associate with known gang members or co-defendants from the trial, with only 2 exceptions, Ghana and his brother. He is banned from the Atlanta metro area for 10 years. He must give anti-gang presentations. He cannot promote gang activity in any form. Every post, every move, every room he walks into, it all matters. It all carries weight that a regular person cannot fully comprehend. One wrong step and that 20-year sentence activates like a switch being flipped. That is what freedom looks like for Jeffrey Lamar Williams in 2026. And here is where it gets darker. Because Saturday night was not even the first time somebody tried to send him back. The escalation, the April 2025 warning that nobody took seriously enough. April 2nd, 2025. Prosecutors already tested this sword once. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office filed a 14-page motion arguing that young Thug had violated his probation through his social media behavior. Specifically, a now-deleted post targeting a DA investigator named Marissa Viverito, where he called her the biggest liar in the DA office. Prosecutors claimed the post went viral, led to Viverito's address being publicly posted online, and that threats were made against Fonnie Willis herself. The motion called his presence in the community a clear and present danger to public safety. They pushed for immediate revocation. Brian Steele fired back fast. Steele called the motion full of baseless assertions and argued that reposting an image and calling someone untruthful does not constitute a probation violation. Thug jumped on X and said, "I don't make threats. I'm a good person. I'm all about peace and love." The judge agreed with Steele. Judge Whitaker ruled that while Thug's social media behavior was imprudent, it did not justify incarceration. She declined to revoke his probation. He dodged it. But here is the part that matters for understanding everything that happened Saturday night. The judge used a specific word, imprudent, and she made clear in her ruling that he needed to exercise more caution moving forward. That warning is part of the official court record. It sits there in black and white. The judge already told him once, "Be more careful." And now, less than a year later, Charleston White is filing a formal report describing a verbal death threat on federal property with witnesses and video. That is not a second chance moment. That is a different category of problem entirely. Who Charleston White is and why he is the most dangerous person in Thug's orbit right now. To understand why Saturday night was so catastrophically dangerous, you need to understand exactly who Charleston White is and what he is capable of. Charleston White was born May 17, 1977 in Fort Worth, Texas. At 14 years old, he was involved in a robbery that resulted in a murder charge and time in juvenile detention. He served his time, came out, studied criminal justice at Texas Wesleyan University, co-founded a youth outreach organization called Helping Young People Excel, known as HYPE. On paper, a redemption story. But then social media happened, and Charleston White discovered that controversy pays. He built his entire online brand around saying the most outrageous inflammatory things possible about hip-hop culture, street life, and rap artists, and watching the clicks roll in. Hundreds of thousands of followers across platforms doing exactly this. And what makes him uniquely dangerous is this specific pattern. Charleston White has absolutely no problem involving law enforcement when it serves him. In 2022, he got into it with Soulja Boy at an event, claimed he maced him. Then immediately filed a police report on Soulja Boy. On record. Publicly. In 2023, he called Child Protective Services on a rapper named Finesse 2 times who was working with a child artist. CPS. On a rapper. He called T.I. out repeatedly over King Harris and threatened legal action. He got into it with Boozy Badass and made it public and ugly. In 2025, he was arrested himself on aggravated assault charges in Texas. This man has been in and out of drama, in and out of courtrooms, in and out of headlines for years. The willingness to go to the authorities has always been part of his playbook. Always. And the most relevant piece of his history for Saturday night. His years-long obsession with calling young Thug a snitch. When the YSL trial started unraveling, an audio allegedly surfaced of Thug speaking during a police interrogation about fellow rapper Pee Wee Roscoe. Charleston White went absolutely nuclear. He declared to his entire audience that Young Thug was done. He called the entire YSL circle a loose-lip crew. He made video after video drilling the narrative into his audience. Young Thug equals snitch. He jumped on every piece of YSL Rico news to reinforce it. He stayed on Thug's name for months. Years, really. And the irony that was always sitting underneath all of it. The whole time Charleston White was screaming snitch. He had never once been shy about his own willingness to involve law enforcement when it benefited him. He called CPS. He filed police reports. He threatened restraining orders and civil suits. Publicly. Proudly. The rules were always different for Charleston. The culture just never got to see it fully exposed until Saturday night in Miami. The legal reality. Why 20 years are actually on the table. Let us slow down and break this down piece by piece. Because this is not Instagram drama. This has real serious life-altering legal implications that most people covering the story are completely glossing over. Number 1. The probation terms. Young Thug has 20 years sitting in a backloaded sentence that activates the moment he violates his probation. Any credible allegation of a new criminal act, and terroristic threats is absolutely a criminal act under Georgia law, is a direct pathway back to prison. Not a year. Not 2 years. 20 years. 20 years. Number 2. The location. The fact that this allegedly happened on FAA property in Miami matters enormously. His probation is supervised by Georgia authorities, but a federal incident on federal property creates a separate layer of exposure entirely. This is not just a Fulton County conversation anymore. This potentially becomes a federal conversation. And federal charges and federal violations carry their own completely separate weight. Number 3. The prior attempt. Prosecutors already tried to revoke his probation in April 2025 over a social media post. The judge shot it down, but she warned him directly to exercise more caution moving forward. That warning is on the official court record. Now a second allegation, especially one involving a verbal death threat, an alleged armed entourage, multiple witnesses, video footage, and a formal police report, hits in a completely different way than a deleted Instagram post. Number 4. And this is the part people are sleeping on completely. Charleston White said he is filing his formal report Monday morning, March 30th. That means as of right now that report may have already been filed or is hours away from being filed. Once it is in the system, it is real. It goes to the probation officer. The probation officer escalates to the judge. And the judge, who already warned Thug once, now has to decide whether to hold a full revocation hearing. Number 5. The burden of proof. Here is what most people do not understand about probation revocation. This is not a criminal trial. The prosecution does not need to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. They need a preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not. That is a significantly lower legal bar. And with Charleston White on camera describing what he says happened with video of the altercation on federal property filed formally with authorities, that bar might already be cleared before Brian Steele can even respond. 20 years. Not because of the YSL Rico case. Not because of anything from 2022. Because of an alleged confrontation at a comedian's reunion party on a Saturday night in March 2026. The bigger picture. The weaponization of the street code. Step back and look at what this situation actually exposes. Because this is bigger than Young Thug and Charleston White. This is bigger than one party in Miami. This is about something hip-hop has been wrestling with for years but never fully confronts. The weaponization of the street code in the social media era. Charleston White built his entire platform on one principle. Snitching is the most unforgivable sin in street culture. He said it every day for years. He said it about Young Thug specifically dozens of times. He made it his brand, his identity, his engagement strategy, his income. And on Saturday night, March 28, 2026, Charleston White went directly to the authorities with a formal report designed to trigger a 20-year prison sentence for the man he spent years calling a snitch. He didn't just file a report for self-protection. He announced it publicly with celebration. You going to jail? He didn't post about being afraid for his safety. He posted celebrating the power he now holds over young thugs' freedom. He weaponized the legal system not just to protect himself but to destroy another person's life. That is a very specific, very calculated move. And when you have spent years branding yourself as the anti-snitch voice of the culture while doing exactly this, that is not self-preservation. That is a power play. The culture sees the difference. And look at the deeper layer. The power imbalance in this entire situation. Charleston White walks away from this event completely free no matter what happens next. He is not on probation. He does not have a backloaded prison sentence. He does not have conditions of release that follow him. Everywhere he goes, he can go to whatever event he wants, say whatever he wants, provoke whoever he wants. The worst legal thing that happens to him is maybe a civil lawsuit. But young thug, every room he walks into is a potential trap. Every person who wants clout, who has a beef, who has something to prove, they now know exactly what they can do to him. They know the formula. Get close enough to provoke a reaction. Film it. File a report. Watch 20 years activate. Charleston White figured that out Saturday night. And he used it. The no-snitch code was never designed for this. It was never designed to protect people who allegedly threatened to kill you on federal property at a comedy event. It was never designed to give wealthy celebrities cover for threatening behavior. The original context, and context matters more than anything, was about communities protecting themselves from a criminal justice system that historically over-policed and underprotected them. But what happens when that code gets stripped from its context? What happens when it becomes a brand? A content strategy? A way for internet personalities to build their platform? It becomes a weapon. Something people pick up and put down based on what is convenient in the moment. Charleston White swung the no-snitch code like a hammer at Young Thug for years. And now the most dangerous thing in Young Thug's world is Charleston White going to the authorities. The code he was accused of violating might be the very thing that destroys him. What happens next? The chain of events already in motion. As of Sunday, March 29, 2026, Charleston White says he is pressing charges Monday morning. Young Thug has not publicly responded to this specific incident. Brian Steele, the same attorney who already went to war once and won over the April 2025 probation revocation attempt, is going to have to move fast. Because unlike the social media post situation, this one has layers. A witness, a video, a specific location on federal property, a specific alleged quote on the record, a formal police report being filed, an entourage allegedly armed on FAA grounds in Miami, and a judge who already warned him once, whose warning is now sitting in the official court record as documented evidence of a pattern. If this goes to a revocation hearing, and it very well might, it is a completely different fight than last time. The prosecution has more. The location makes it more serious. The prior warning makes the pattern harder to argue against. Brian Steele is one of the best defense attorneys in the business. He already beat back one revocation attempt. But he is also handling Lil Durk's federal murder for hire case simultaneously. His plate is full. And this situation required immediate action before that Monday morning report hit the system. 3 questions the culture needs to sit with right now. Does the judge who already warned Thug once, and who now has a second formal allegation with video and witnesses on federal property in front of her, decide that the pattern justifies a revocation hearing? Does Brian Steele find a way to challenge the substance of Charleston White's account the same way he challenged the social media post allegation? Because the legal bar for revocation is lower than criminal conviction. Much lower. And what does Young Thug's own account of what happened say? Because we only have Charleston White's version right now. And Charleston White's version of events has always served Charleston White's interests first. We do not know yet what Thug says happened in that room. We do not know what his entourage says. We do not know what other witnesses at Drewski's event saw. All of that matters. All of that is coming. But here is what we do know. 20 years is on the table. Not because of YSL. Not because of 2022. Because of one night in Miami. Because of a confrontation that should never have reached the point it allegedly reached. Because a man with a sword over his head allegedly let the wrong person get close enough to swing it for him. You have to be smarter than the situation. You cannot be at a major public event with your whole entourage in a room with someone who has been publicly taunting you for years and let it escalate to the point of alleged death threats. Not with these stakes. Not when a judge already warned you once. Not when prosecutors have been looking for any reason to send you back. You have to be boring. You have to let people talk and keep moving. Because every confrontation now is a potential 20-year sentence. And the people who truly had young Thug's best interests at heart should have gotten him out of that room the second Charleston White walked in. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Was Charleston White dead wrong for filing that report? Or did Thug's entourage make a catastrophically bad decision that nobody can fix now? And do you think Brian Steele can beat this the same way he beat the April 2025 attempt? Subscribe right now and hit the notification bell. The moment Young Thug's legal team responds, this channel will have the full breakdown posted the same night. This story is nowhere near finished. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.